Are you or someone you know looking to buy or sell a home? When you use a HomeGain Realtor to buy or sell a home, you can get $150. Visit HomeGain.com and click on the Promo 150 banner at the top of the page to get started. Compare HomeGain Realtors and choose your favorite. Complete your home purchase or sale transaction with a HomeGain Realtor, and HomeGain will pay you $150. Get started today by going to HomeGain.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Real Estate 360 Live. I'm your host, Ryan Sloper, joined today by my guest, Louis Cammarosano, the general manager of HomeGain. Quick reminder that the show is dedicated and designed to build the Washington, D.C. Metro's housing and credit markets one house at a time. If you have any questions or concerns, whether it's regards to getting your credit fixed to buy a home, whether it's, you're looking at financing and just unsure about which way to go, just navigating the overall real estate market, we're here to help. The number is 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030, or via the web at realestate360live.com. So, Louis, we've talked about kind of the benefits of short selling versus foreclosure, and I've had a ton of emails lately about this subject, and I kind of wanted to dive back into it again just because I've had so many questions and concerns regarding it, and I want to take this from the seller perspective, take the bank out of it. I want to talk purely from the seller's perspective. If, they're in a situation where they're unable to make their payments now and they're like, well, what do I do? Do I just let the house go, or do I try to short sell it and get the bank's permission to take a short payoff? I would say that one of the biggest advantages of short selling your home versus foreclosure is, it gives you maybe a more dignified exit from your home, per se. I guess at the end of the day, nobody really wants to get foreclosed upon. And the short sale actually prevents, the bank from actually coming in, somebody showing up at your door and kicking you out. Because in the case of the short sale, you would put your house on the market, you get a contract, you're working with the bank, and you have a defined date that you would actually close. So that's going to allow you to, to not have to move out immediately. If your house gets foreclosed on and then all of a sudden it goes to auction, somebody buys it, then you're going to get served notice probably from the sheriff that you're going to get kicked out. So you don't have near as much time to be able to set up for where you're going to go next, how you're your movers and everything else. It gives you ample time to prepare in advance for your move and figure out where you're going to go. And that's the biggest thing to me is that there's nothing worse than just being dropped out onto the street. The short sale at least gives you that ability to be able to know, when this is going to come, and it'll give you time enough to get out of it. Now, people ask me, what's the timeline of the short sale? And sometimes, how long can you go without missing payments or with missing payments before, the bank decides that the short sale is not going to go through and they foreclose anyway? And that's a difficult question to answer, only because every bank is different. And in certain cases, you don't just have one bank you're dealing with. Sometimes you're dealing with the first bank and a second lender as well. So there can be two banks involved. I've kind of seen as a rule of thumb that, many of the times you're able to go probably minimum of probably like 3 to 4 months, up to it can be as much as a year. And it really depends on the banks and how forceful they are at pushing the foreclosure down your throat potentially. I would say that the second advantage of short selling versus foreclosure is that you as the seller can possibly avoid a deficiency judgment. Now, and this is in most cases, not all cases of distressed sales, but the bank can, as a foreclosure, they can legally go after you, the seller, for the difference between, the amount that you owed on that property and then the amount that they actually ended up selling it at foreclosure.
That's in certain states, though, right?
Correct, because there's different state laws that actually will mandate whether that is the case or isn't the case. So you really need to check with your local probably tax professional to figure out and or attorney, real estate attorney, to figure out what would be the case. And I always recommend in these cases that, we as real estate agents, we can only give you so much advice when it comes to the legal side. It is important that, when you do get that short sale approval back from the bank, that you maybe take that and consult a real estate attorney to make sure, and a CPA, to find out about the legal consequences, whether there will be a deficiency judgment or they can come after you, or whether they waive their right to that, and then what your tax implications are. I've seen many instances where people feel like the letter says one thing, but it actually says something completely different. And it's not the real estate agent's job to interpret that. And I always give my advice is always consult multiple professionals, whether it be a CPA or a real estate attorney that can help you understand and know what the long-term consequences of this are. I mean, too many times, people just assume, and assuming is not a good thing when it comes to this because, this could affect you down the road 5-10 years when you thought that nobody was coming after you, but all of a sudden the books have caught up and now they've sent it to collection and they won't stop hounding you. So I think it is important there. Now, remember, in a short sale transaction, most banks, I've seen at least over the last 6 months to a year, most banks, if it's your primary residence, they're probably going to be willing to release the seller from this type of obligation, the deficiency. In most cases, not always. In my personal dealings, I've seen where if it's an investor that's trying to short sale a home and he's got maybe 5 or 6 other properties, it's going to probably be a little bit more difficult for him to get away from not having that deficiency judgment because if he has other properties with equity, the bank's probably going to want to come after that. So once again, I know this is kind of, it's broad, but every situation is completely different, and everybody has different income. Everybody has different assets. So when banks are determining what they're going to do, whether they're going to come after you or whether they're going to waive that deficiency, it's going to be really based upon what your hardship is, and whether they feel like it is a real hardship. And, if they really see you going down that path, that's not sustainable. I do want to reiterate that, you do need to have a legit hardship. Don't just say that you don't want to make your mortgage payment because it's too much and you couldn't refinance, because I can guarantee you that's not going to work.
And Ryan, don't you have a list of hardships that some people wouldn't even consider being hardships that people need to be aware of?
Yeah, and I would say, some of the first ones are if you took basically a pay cut at your job, so you're no longer making the money you were. So if you're spending more money than you're bringing in every month, that is a definite hardship. Even if you have assets and money in the bank, remember this is like. I kind of equate it to in a bankruptcy situation where you can see that there's an issue coming because you don't have enough money to pay all your bills, but you're just taking away from your savings month after month. Similar situation in a short sale. You don't want to continue to make these mortgage payments and drain your bank account so that you can't live at all. So those are two. Medical circumstances, or it could be another instance. I've heard of a few where maybe it's a family and somebody, a woman gets pregnant and she has more kids and they have not enough living space that they need to move. That could be a potential hardship. At the end of the day, like I said, there's really it's a money thing but it's also a family thing, and if you can line up and make sense of it all, and you can write a good letter, and they can verify that by looking at your income. They can look at your banks, and don't hide anything, because if you try to hide something, that's like one of the first ways that you can get your sale denied. I do have an extensive list of these. If you guys would like a copy of it, all you have to do, like I said, if you go to Real Estate 360 Live, just click on the Ask a Question button and ask for a list of these hardships, and I'd be glad to email them to you. We're coming up on the end here, but one of the last things that I would say that's important is that obviously a short sale has less of a negative impact on your credit report. You could potentially buy again, all things being equal, if you maintain decent credit after the short sale in anywhere from 2 to 4 years, sometimes less than that. If it's a military relocation and you're moving to a different state and you never missed any payments and you're moving further away into a different geographical area, you could potentially buy the next day. So there had to have been that hardship there that forced you to move. So military is another form of that hardship. If you do go the foreclosure route, know that it may take you from 5 to 7 years again before you can qualify for a mortgage. There's a big difference between 5 and 7 and 2 to 4. And remember that it's not just you searching for a home loan that this is going to affect. If you guys go out and try to get, an auto loan or a credit card, it is much better to have that short sale on there. And remember, guys, you do have the ability to potentially short sell your home without missing a payment. This is one of the biggest myths that are out there, is that you have to miss a payment before the bank will agree. And that's just not the case. Now, will it happen every time? Probably not. But once again, it all dependent upon which bank you're dealing with and what the hardship is, the potential hardship. So, don't just choose to not go through the short sale process because, maybe you think that your hardship's not good enough. I always say, reach out to me because I have a track record of looking at different hardships. And a lot of the time we can call the bank directly. They'll send us a short sale packet and it'll kind of lay out what, they feel are legitimate hardships. And it might be different from bank to bank. So reach out to us, 877-245-2030. Coming up and on the end of the show, Louis, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I know there's a lot of people out that are first-time home buyers and they're just beginning their home search and they're looking for a good qualified agent. And this is nationwide. They have the ability to use your service, right, to connect with agents?
That's right. You go to HomeGain.com and you select the Find a Realtor, and you're allowed to fill out a profile. You get a HomeGain account, and then we send out your profile that details what you're looking for in a real estate agent, a real estate professional. And then realtors will propose to you anonymously, and you can compare them on an apples-to-apples basis. And only when you're ready to select a real estate agent, you contact that real estate agent through your HomeGain account. You can also check out home prices and home values at HomeGain, homes for sale, and there's a bunch of resources on the page where you can get home selling and buying tips and calculators. So go to HomeGain.com if you're ready to start to buy or sell a home. Thanks, everyone, and thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Louis. Have a great day. Guys, thank you for tuning in. We will be back again next Monday from 2 to 3 p.m. here at WNEW 1580 AM. And if in the meantime you have any questions or concerns or real estate needs, the best number to reach out to me is 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great week.